Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Hello again and welcome to the program Agriculture on the Move. I am Phillip Sydney. In today's program, I need to tell you it was brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Production, Fisheries and Rural Development. Of course, if you look at the backdrop, it says Agriculture on the Move, but fisheries is also inclusive in the whole format of agriculture. In today's program, we're looking at traditional fisheries in the Caribbean are being faced with major challenges: global warming, sea level rise, and other man-made problems. That drove the organizers into an advanced leadership training workshop for heads of fisheries departments and divisions in the Caricom States. And here to discuss this program with us today, my panel, three of them, and I start off with Mr. Thor Asgeirsson, who is the Deputy Program Director, United Nations University Fisheries Training Program. Mrs. Sarita William-Peter, who is the Fisheries Biologist in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Production, Fisheries and Rural Development. And Mr. Milton Houghton, if I may say this correctly, who is the Executive Director for Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism Secretariat. Welcome, people, to the program.
Thank you very much.
Milton, I'll start with you. Tell us, what is CRFM?
Well, CRFM is the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism. We're a regional fisheries organization, a Caricom organization established by the heads of government of Caricom to promote the sustainable use, sustainable management of our fisheries resources, to ensure that these resources make optimum contribution to our economic development and to the livelihood of people, coastal communities that depend upon the fishery resources for their livelihood and for their sustenance. I want to say, Philip, thank you very much for inviting us on the program, and this is Fisheries on the Move.
Yes, Fisheries on the Move. Okay, thank you, Milton. I'll call you by first names, Thor. Could you tell us a bit of you, where you're from, and of course, your program involvement in this program?
Yeah, certainly. I represent the United Nations University Fisheries Training Program, based in Iceland, a small island in the North Atlantic. The United Nations University is like an umbrella organization that deals with sort of burning issues, global issues. We listen to the UN, the United Nations discussion, and the key issues being discussed there. And for us in Iceland, we were asked to host this fisheries training program that has the mandate of supporting developing countries mainly to develop their fisheries, to answer these questions about sustainability, and to organize the fisheries in a sort of for the future in a sustainable way.
Great. Sarita, from the St. Lucia point of view, could you give us an idea of your involvement in the workshop?
Well, St. Lucia is also a part of the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism, and we were approached to host the workshop in St. Lucia, and we were quite pleased to do so with our regional partners. St. Lucia, because it's being held in St. Lucia, we've maximized that benefit, and we have 5 participants participating in the workshop. Fisheries sector is very important in St. Lucia, and there's quite a bit of interest by the fishers, the fishing community in fisheries. And we felt that as the Department of Fisheries, which has a mandate for fisheries development and sustainable development of the fisheries sector in St. Lucia, we felt that more of our staff should be involved. So all our senior managers, management staff, are part of that workshop.
Milton, I was told earlier at the opening ceremony that your organization actually spearheaded this program. Could you give us a little bit of information in that regard?
Yes, as Sarita just mentioned, the fisheries sector in the region is very, very important. The potential is enormous. That is potential for making enhanced contribution to the region's economic development, to the development of our coastal and rural communities, to creating employment, to creating and generating food for our people, food and nutrition security. Fish is a very good source of protein and minerals. We need to ensure that our people have adequate supplies of fish. If we're eating more fish, we could reduce the incidence of some of the diseases that we're grappling with today. But it's also important as a source of export earnings. Fish is a high demand item internationally. It is one of the most highly traded commodities internationally. So we can earn significant foreign exchange from exporting fish. Fish is also a very important part of our tourism product. Tourists come to the region, they want to eat our exotic lobster, conch, shrimp, swordfish, tuna, etc. It's also important for recreational purposes. It's important for stability of rural and coastal communities. So it is important in a number of areas. The sector, as you mentioned at the beginning, faces numerous challenges. Now, so we have a sector with significant potential for greater enhanced contribution to our economic development, but we see many constraints to the development. What we need in order to be able to overcome these constraints and to realize the full potential of the sector and to ensure that the sector indeed make this enhanced contribution to economic development is people with vision. We need leaders who can motivate and inspire and sell the vision of the contribution that fisheries can make, and so mobilize the resources, get the people organized so that together we can deal with the challenges and realize our long-term objective of fully developing this sector, making it more competitive, export-oriented, etc. So that is what we're about. This week here in St. Lucia, we are having a training workshop on advanced leadership for the leaders and the managers within the national fisheries administrations across the region.
How thought you were able to link with FRM in this whole project?
We, as I said earlier, our role is basically capacity building, assisting the countries to build capacity in fisheries. Fisheries is an extremely complex sort of item. There are so many angles to fisheries. There are so many opportunities there. And through the CRFM, I think it was in 2005, we realized that the program that, our program, we have been sort of trying to locate good partners to reach out to many countries. We cannot serve each country, sort of individually. So finding CRFM as a partner was extremely important for our work, and since 2005 and 2006 we have sort of gradually progressed in our cooperation, and we have introduced our strengths, our expertise, and we have discussed the needs of the region, and this is where we are today. This is the second time.
Let's hold our thoughts. We are due for a break.
Yeah.
You're watching Agriculture on the Move, but this week's special fisheries edition. We'll be right back.
Did you know that government provides duty-free incentives on farm machinery, inputs, irrigation systems, boat engines, boats, and many more? Investing in agriculture, a wise choice.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move, but of course, /Fisheries on the Move, this program. Sarita, you being a participant in this program, how do you foresee this benefiting St. Lucia?
Well, the Department of Fisheries has long recognized that we manage resources, yes, but it's really about the people, the resource users. And we have to be able to interact with our resource users in an effort to develop the sector. That's very critical to us. Our stakeholders are critical. And so our ability to interact and inspire, and as Milton mentioned, to share that vision, to generate visions with stakeholders, we need to develop those skills. And those skills are leadership skills. And we felt it was critical to do that. And at this workshop, we are gaining resources, skills, knowledge to better enable us to interact with our stakeholders and work more cohesively as a staff to push forward a vision that will better develop the sector.
Milton, the question of this collaborative effort, how is that in sync if you're programming?
Well, first of all, I want to just say a few words about our partnership with the United Nations University Fisheries Training Program. Mm-hmm. As Thor mentioned, in 2004-2005, we made contact with the university in Iceland because we saw their program and realized that we could benefit from the collaboration. So we approached them, they were very receptive, and we developed a memorandum of understanding with them. And today, and since then, we have had excellent cooperation and collaboration with the United Nations University. We have gotten support through the government of Iceland also, that is one of the main supporters of the United Nations University. And so we have two levels of collaboration. They have a program in fisheries, a training program at the university. And each year since then, we have been able to send 2 or 3 candidates from the region for specialized training in different aspects of fisheries, whether it's policy and planning, aquaculture, stock assessment, etc. Last year, we were able to send 3 candidates. They just returned to the region last month. And we are now in the process of finalizing the arrangements for 2 more students to go to the university this year. So every year we have been able to benefit from that 6-month training program. But in addition to that, we have these short courses that we have been implementing over the past several years also. So we have done training in fish stock assessment, training in fisheries statistics, training in project cycle management, product development, and we have this training in leadership development. This is actually the 2nd training in leadership development that we're doing. There was one that was held 2 years ago in Belize, and this is a second one. So we have had excellent collaboration, and I really want to take this opportunity to thank our partners in Iceland and United Nations University for the excellent program. Fisheries is very, very important to the Icelandic economy. They have expertise, they have knowledge that we can benefit from tremendously. They depend a lot on fisheries. They are a model for us. So as we look at our resources and where we need to go, we can learn and benefit a lot. And that is why this collaboration is so important for us. They are one of our key strategic partners in our initiative to fully develop and use the resources. Fisheries, as we were mentioning earlier, is very important. So far, we have been concentrating on a few species in the coastal areas, but the truth is, in the Caribbean region, 80% of the area that is available to us that we have under our jurisdiction is water. The land mass, when you put all our countries together, even the big ones like Guyana, Suriname, Belize, is less than 20% of the area. In other words, we are nations with large maritime space, and we have to look to using those resources, not only in the coastal areas, not only near shore, but in the further reaches of our waters in what we call the exclusive economic zone. So this is very important. We have significant potential here, and we have to use these resources for our long-term development. The question is not whether or not we can save the coral reef and save the resources. It is really whether these resources that we have available in our marine environment can save us. We have to rely more and use more the indigenous natural resources that we have, whether the living resources or the non-living resources. And we do have significant resources, both living and non-living, in the sea that we need to use. Of course, there are challenges. There's a challenge for sustainability, for example, that's one. We hear a lot of talk these days about sustainable use, conservation, and indeed we have to be very careful to make sure that we match our exploitation with the natural capacity of the resource to generate itself, and that is sustainable. And we have to do it using science. We have to do it using information. We have to do it in collaboration with the stakeholders, with the fisher folk. And here, you know, we have opportunity for significant gains in all these areas. We have to strengthen our research. We have to strengthen our relationship with the fishermen and the fisherwomen and the other stakeholders who have an interest in the industry. So there are a lot of fronts on which we need to improve on, but we need to have that plan. We need to have a clear vision. We need to identify who are the stakeholders that we need to work with. We need to have a good communication strategy so that we are exchanging with each other and we have that common vision as to what the opportunities are, where we need to go, how we are going to do it.
Okay, great. For your involvement with programs with that organization over the years, how can you evaluate your contribution and programs in the past?
That's something that can be difficult to do, but we really believe in that by training and educating people, that in the long run will feed into the systems and that will motivate people. It will change how people view the resources. In terms of the Caribbean region, the fisheries training program is listening to the needs of the region, and we rely on information from the CRFM. And we try to organize ourselves in such a way that we may help. But this is not about sort of transfer of knowledge from Iceland to the region. It's about cooperation. This is all about cooperation, and we truly believe that bringing experts together, experts from the region, whether they meet in Iceland or whether they meet here in the region, when they sit down at the table and discuss fisheries from different perspectives, a new knowledge will come. New knowledge, new approaches will arise from this, which will benefit those who need it. That is sort of our vision of the cooperation with the CRFM.
So at the end of the day, there's not a set time for, say, ending your relationship or severing your relationship. It's going to be a continuous relationship?
Well, I hope so, certainly. We have, of course, in our memorandum of understanding, we have time frames for our cooperation. Mm-hmm. We have a strategy, how we approach the needs here. So, and then we constantly evaluate the progress. Like this short course that we are running today here, we will sit down and evaluate the results of that and plan for the next steps to be taken.
Okay. Sarita, how would that impact on, after receiving that training, what happens next?
Well, St. Lucia has received quite a bit of opportunities from this partnership between CRFM and the United Nations University. And in fact, we've actually had some of our staff go to Iceland and undergo the 6-month training course and they've come back with a new perspective, new knowledge, and have been trying to implement projects and activities to use what they've learned. And I believe that has given us a new way forward. The workshop in itself, for the past few days, because we started on Monday, so far we have been interacting with different countries and realizing that many of the issues that we face in St. Lucia are very similar across the region. And it helps us in terms of interacting, brainstorming, charting a new way forward, that new knowledge that Mr. Asgeirsson was talking about. And interacting with the Icelanders, they also have some similar issues. Fisheries around the world have a lot of the similar issues. And I think the leadership training for this week is not only focused on fisheries from the resource perspective, but it looks at the human aspect of it.
We'll hold that thought.
Yes.
We'll do for a break. We're moving fast and furious. We are watching Agriculture/Fisheries on the Move. We will be right back.
Agriculture, one of the pillars of St. Lucia's economic development, creating opportunities for earning a living for the farmer and his family. From the field to the kitchen, the St. Lucians are finding creative ways of using fruits, crops, and vegetables grown locally, from local seasonings to special brews, from aquaculture to the cultivation of local herbs for export. A strong agriculture industry strengthens the economy. The country needs your support, so buy local.
Welcome back to the program. We're discussing fisheries today. Sarita, continue on where you left off in terms of the challenges St. Lucia faces. After this workshop, do you see additional gains to what you all have done so far with the training of your officers in Iceland and other short training programs? Where do you see this taking you at this point?
Okay, certainly. The Department of Fisheries, through this training, before this training, we've actually engaged in two major activities. The first one was developing our fisheries policy, which set forth our vision for the sector. And I say ours, not meaning the Department of Fisheries, but the stakeholders within the sector, because we interacted with them to do it. And through this training, we've been able to gain better skills in how we move forward in charting visions for the sector. Because fisheries training is drying out. I mean, we know that. And funding for training activities, funding for capacity building is drying out. And it's a good opportunity to see that we can benefit from a training session, especially being held in St. Lucia. The leadership training, part of the course we were looking at is things like time management and dealing with your staff, and you would think that you're only looking at technical things, but it looked at management, leadership aspects of the fishery sector, because you can have all the technical abilities, but you must be able to manage that, lead people to a direction or to a vision. And with all the problems and challenges facing the sector, which include global warming, many fishermen are talking about not seeing flying fish anymore. We had one year where our dolphin fish landings dropped. We have years where it goes up. There are a lot of things that we still are not understanding, and we need to start coming together and speaking to each other to decide how are we going to deal with those problems. And I think this leadership training has given us a lot of insight as to how we do it. And I think it's up to the participants now to take this information, go back into the respective countries and try to implement or change the way of thinking. It's really an attitude change that needs to happen.
Milton, we are in the third day of the workshop. Your evaluation, at the end of that workshop, where does your organization fit in terms of getting all that feedback, collecting all that data? What next?
Yes. This is really a very, very important workshop, in my opinion. I think we are at a critical juncture in the development of the fisheries sector. And we need to make sure that we have adequate skills and persons with the knowledge and expertise to take us in the future. We hear often that a major problem in the region that has constrained our development is the lack of effective leadership. So we are investing in building the capacity of the leaders in the fisheries department, because we do have a vision. We want to transform this sector. We want to unlock the potential of this sector. We want to interest the young people to come into this sector, so that we can overcome many of these ills we face in society. We face a serious problem with many of our young people right now, turning to crime because there are limited opportunities, or they perceive limited opportunities for themselves, and they feel hopeless in some cases. The fact of the matter is that there are opportunities in the sector. We have to be careful. We have to balance how we do it. We have to make sure it's done in a structured manner and in a manner that respects the natural limitation of the resource. But there are opportunities there. So once we have this training program and this cadre of persons with this new knowledge and new perspective and new skills, able to lead us in this process, the CRFM will continue to support the countries as we forge this new vision and as we begin to implement new programs and new strategies and so on to get us where we want. We have to work collaboratively with a wide range of stakeholders. As Thor mentioned earlier, fisheries is a very dynamic and complex sector. There are many dimensions that we have to work with. We have to make sure that the different agencies, Fisheries Department, Environment Department, Energy Department, Fisher Folk Organization, fish processors, the ministries of finance, ministries of foreign affairs, that we are all working together in a cooperative and a collaborative manner towards achieving the same vision. We have to make sure that our energies are channeled towards achieving that common perspective. One of the things about the fishery resources in the region is that for the most part we're dealing with shared resources. Yes. And at the end of the day, there's just so much that you can achieve if you try to do it in a piecemeal manner, each country doing its own thing, ignoring what is taking place next door. So St. Lucia needs to be harmonized with what's taking place in St. Vincent, in Dominica, in the French islands, for example. And these are some of the things that we're trying to do. We need to have that common approach. We need to have clear understanding of where we are and of where we need to go, and then put in place the building blocks, the steps that will take us from point A to point B to point C and towards our long-term objective. So this is what we're trying to do. Of course, we have benefited from the wisdom and the work of those who have gone on before us. But today, I think we have a new vision. Today, we have new goals. And we have to put in place the systems that we need to move in the direction that we need to go, to get the alignment of all the key stakeholders, to get the commitment, to provide the leadership to overcome the obstacles and to realize our aspirations.
Any final words from you, Thor?
No. Well, just to emphasize the point that fisheries is not about only sort of food security. There is so many potential there. It has great economic influence on many countries, and the nutrition and the value and the use of the resource can be a key factor in sort of economic developments of nations.
Final words from you, Sarita?
Well, I'd just like to tell our audience that the Department of Fisheries are working on quite a few programs and projects upcoming for this financial year. So I would like to encourage all our fishers to keep an eye out, because fisheries will certainly be on the move.
I like that. Anything, Milton?
Yes, well, thank you very much. I'm very excited about what we're doing in fisheries at this time. I look forward to working in collaboration with the various governments and the stakeholders, the fisherfolk organizations, and others, of an interest in moving the sector forward. Mm-hmm. It is a very important sector, as we said initially, one that has been a bit marginalized. So we need to transform that. We need to be more integrated in the long-term plans for national development and regional development. And we need to mobilize the resources. We need to get the skills and the equipment, the knowledge, the technology that we need to transform and develop the sector. So, we look forward to working together with all the stakeholders. We look forward to disseminating the message regarding the importance of the sector. We look forward to engaging with our young people so that they can see the possibilities for them in this sector, because we do need the involvement of our young people.
I realize you're very passionate about this, so we need to take it from there. I want to thank you people for being here. I want to thank you, Milton, Sarita, and Thor. I hope that everything goes well for you all, and of course I hope the week ends very well at workshop. So again, on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Production, Fisheries and Rural Development, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you, the viewers, for viewing this program. It was a special edition of Agriculture / Fisheries, and I'm hoping that we will have more fishery programs on this agriculture program and fishery, so that again, tune in next time on this same station for another program. I am Phillip Sydney saying thank you for viewing. Goodbye.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.